So last night I'm at a show, a holiday concert. My friend and client James Torme was doing a holiday show, and so I kept hearing, "You came to be love," and I thought, okay, you know, I'm being distracted now because I'm trying to pay attention to the concert, but I kept hearing, "You came to be love," and you know how you get that thing where you are hearing something, you don't want to look at it, and I said, "Oh, I have to." Because that's your intuition or something that's speaking to you at that time, and you're questioning, should I pay attention to that? And I'm thinking, well, I'm at this concert, I shouldn't pay attention to that. But I knew better. And so then I picked up my phone and I looked and I knew it was Wilhelm talking to me. And that's something that was so difficult for me to explain, and I said, well, this is a perfect opportunity. So that's what I'm doing today. So this will be like my holiday greeting to so many people, because when I looked at that, I thought I must have been given a message that said something like that, the reason that it kept coming through. And I was. It's just that it was off just by one word. And then I'll show you what that was, because then you'll understand why you came to be loved. Well, you came here to be loved. And that's what you'll understand. But that is also what I was meant to tell you. And I got to look at that and I thought my entire life was meant to tell you that you came to be love, and that actually turned out to be true. And I'll show you why. Okay, you're going to get so much out of this because it goes further from here, and you'll understand. So I looked it up, and so the thing that I was missing was the word here. You came here to be loved. I go, okay. And then the message. Please transcribe this message without censorship, for it will not only encourage and help you, but all others, as that was your intention. We said you came to be loved for a very specific reason. It was to get you to finally understand that there is nothing you must do to love, because it is who you are. Now, as you experience your life, then, you know when you are not being yourself or being loved because you don't feel good. When you are in fear, you are not being loved. When you are judging another, or more importantly, yourself, you are not being loved. Our volume got a bit louder as we want on, because we want you to hear this. Wilhelm. Yeah, that's what happens at times. They get a little bit louder. Um, and then you know how you still do that thing, and you're hearing yourself, and you're still not doing it. You know you're supposed to do it, but something is holding you back, and you're still not doing it. And so as I looked at that, and I'm looking at the message, and they said, no, you still didn't do it, so now go back again. And so then I looked, and there was another message, and you will understand this one because you've done the same thing. We all do. We just don't understand that we're doing it, because there's just this thing that we're meant to do, but we're a little afraid of it, because it could cause us to become great. It could cause us to understand who we are. It could cause us to change our lives. That could happen. So let's go to that one, because it goes on, because they weren't done, because they really wanted you to understand this. I'm so happy you're doing this little exploration with me, because I really want to show you how this has operated in my life, which it does in yours as well, because we're talking about consciousness, which we all have. I'm just charting it, and Wilhelm is giving me the ability to do that. So we go back again, and the message was reminding us, because the other one was in 2018. See, we didn't really do it then because we were still being a little afraid. You still came to be loved. We used that particular title as it was what Roger heard us say to him this morning. It was what we have said to all of you, and you will each come to know this for sure. Roger is attempting to find the words to communicate some complicated information, but we will give you the answer you are meant to receive now. You each are born with a life purpose that is important, valuable, and essential to the evolution of your world. Simply because you have thought of yourself as being inconsequential does not diminish or disprove that fact. Yesterday, we told Roger he would find what he needed at the right time in his life, which is the same for you all. Last night, Roger mentioned to a friend that it felt as if some force was controlling his life that he didn't understand, as things just kept showing up in synchronistic ways that captured his attention. We mentioned the work of the Law of One. Roger began listening, and then got busy with his day and thought he would relax and watch television. Then him, had the cable box go out, and Roger found himself listening to those works again. This time it brought tears, just as he heard from the actor who introduced him to the material. Yes, Roger is being controlled, but he is the one doing it, as are you all. What occurred was Roger recognized that his life, his actions, his characteristics, his life experiences, and every aspect of his life now made sense. We will now leave you with links to 2 messages, and if any of you follow this, it will aid you as well. There will be much more, but all you need to do is believe the first paragraph. And then the first message is the one they let back to "You Came to Be Loved," the one that I just read. But then I want you to understand the science of it, because then they led us to another message called "The Experience of Pure Love." And as we read that one, even more will make sense. Now we're going back a few years to 2017. Please allow yourself enough time to absorb the meaning intended in this message, for it holds the power you sought to propel your life forward. You had a memory of a pet you once had that you loved very much. Now, because the pet was no longer in physical form, the only thing your mind could conjure was the feeling of pure love. You knew that was the same feeling you had when that pet was alive, because there was no judgment held by you or the pet then, which is the only manner in which you might experience pure love. Now, you stayed with that feeling for a while, and carried it with you into a current situation in your life, and then made a decision from that feeling that defied your physical world logic. Good for you. All you ever need to know is that the experience of pure love is more powerful than anything else. Period. Wilhelm. And that is also the message that they wanted us to know at this time in our world, which is why I was given this particular philosophy and why I've been given it over the last 35 years, now going into 36. I'm going to do 2 things now. I'm going to give a shout out to, you have to acknowledge people when you notice someone's work and how great they are, because we all want confirmation. And so what I used to do, I would look, I receive messages from Wilhelm all the time, but verification was really challenging because I'm just receiving cosmic guidance. And so I would go to astrologers or tarot readers, and basically, usually it was astrologers because they were connected to the changes of the planets and all that. Then I started listening to a couple of tarot readers because I understood that really good ones were reading energy. And you're never going to be in, the wrong place if you're listening to one, and if it's aligned with you, it'll make sense. And then you find that you'll keep going back to the same one because there's an alignment that you're finding with that person. And that was today, well, it's been a lot of days, and that was Rhea, Sacred Knowledge Tarot. And I thought, oh, wait a minute, that's a really great name as well. And then the other person is Paul. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to tag them and let them know. Because, see, we need to know, because they're always so incredibly accurate for me. May not be for you, but for me. And it's Paul of Dove and Serpent Tarot. And it's the same thing. I go, those names are just so wonderful. Because, the dove part of that is what we're trying to find. And I'm going to tell you a story. See, because I know that you can achieve anything that you want in your life because it's within you. But telling you that was really challenging for me the way it came about. We are meant to be unique, but sometimes that'll develop in ways that we don't understand. And I didn't understand that either. It's been my entire life. But what happened was I developed a philosophy that could really change everything. Change our world, change your life. And I can say that because I know that it's true. But the only difficulty is us believing it. It was hard for me to believe it, even when I had the results. Because when you come into alignment with who you are, you start to heal in ways that you can't even imagine. And then your clarity that comes into your thinking and your consciousness, and you start to see yourself in the world in a different way. And we can call it all sorts of things, moving to that fifth dimension, which is what happens. But I don't even like to give it titles, and Wilhelm doesn't even like using them because that's how we separate ourselves. So in 2020, I knew the world was changing. We thought it was all the pandemic, but Wilhelm was saying, no, it's much more than that. And it was also a really great opportunity that made no sense. It, it seems horrible. It seems really stressful and challenging. They go, yes, because that means you have more within you that you can bring to the world. That's not just me, that's you. And so when I looked at that message and I go, you came here to be loved? Oh, I thought, and then I would write that, and then my grammar correction would say, you came here to be loved? And Wilhelm would say, no, that's the difficulty. You think that you have to get love from someone else or from something outside. It's within you. It just has to be developed and actualized, and they gave me a way to actualize it because the world changed. And so what happens when the world changes, new philosophies are born by people who have lived them, and I happen to be one of them. And it came about in this really different way. So that's when I'm beginning to explain, and even next week I'm starting to write a press release, and I'm going to put it out, and I'm going to really start speaking to everyone. When you discover something that is helpful for others, you must give it to the world. For me, it was difficult because it was so challenging, and it was so different the way it came through. And then knowing it was hard for others to understand that, because I can look at you and know there's nothing wrong in your life, and you just have to move in a different direction. That's all, because I've done it all. But saying that and having others believe it was challenging. But then also having this, I'm such an empath and I just feel everybody's energy. And so when I see you struggling, it makes it really challenging for me. So what I did was I held myself back because I thought, oh, I'm just going to have everybody just understand how great they are. And that will change our world, because that's the period that we're in right now, in awakening. That's why I did a video yesterday to put that out. And so you can see there I put in several messages so you could understand what went on. But I'll tell you that I've done this story before, but I want you to understand, because there are no limits to what we can do. Nowhere. No limits in our lives or in the world. We just don't do it. That's all. And I know that because everything that Wilhelm has given me, I know how to do everything in my life. And from all the stuff that I failed at, I learned a whole bunch from that as well. But then what they gave me as a result of that, I know that anyone could create this magnificent life, and some people could take it and change our entire world, because it's all consciousness. That's all that it is. We just have not developed it because we've been taught something else for so long, and I had to come in and bring in something new. And that's what it came out to be. And so now I can tell you that's what my life was, is to bring in this philosophy, which came in, it's called Your Life Operating Instructions, so we start operating in a new way. And the premise behind it was actually scientifically developed, because the way that I got it, I had to sit down every day and receive information, and it kept changing my brain from something that was really old. That's called neuroscience. We've discovered that, and that's what was happening. But what I was doing was finding information and knowledge, new knowledge and information that I could then interpret and explain to others, and then they do the same thing, and then we start to heal and we raise the consciousness of the planet. That's what happens. But we had to get out of the limited ways of thinking about ourselves and others. So when I first started doing the channeling sessions, which I did not want to do, many of you probably know that, I was never going to give anyone Wilhelm. From when I started in 1989, I said, no, I'm not going to tell people. It's giving me all this information, but they're not going to believe it, and then I'm going to be judged. And I'm going to be doing this woohooey stuff that's just weird. No one's going to understand that. And that's the problem in our world. You see, because when I'm doing a channeling session, Wilhelm says, Roger came to marry science, spirituality, and human potential. Why wouldn't we do that? And so, because we understand things, we develop new things as we live, and it comes through certain people. And then I went back and I listened to some of the Wilhelm channeling sessions, and I have to say that because I don't remember them. I just have to talk about it. I want you to understand we have different dimensions of consciousness. We will not all move to a higher understanding or dimension of that consciousness because we have to choose to do it. Sometimes it's really difficult because we have old things. We have generational trauma and beliefs and ideologies that no longer serve us that sometimes we're not willing to let go of. And so Wilhelm said, we're going to give you something new. What about if you just looked at people as being souls, that they didn't matter what race they were, what ethnicity, where they came from? And maybe all souls had something that they could create and develop that would bring a new energy into the world, and we've given you something that would have them do that. I said, that make no sense. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, that's what I heard in 2020. Then in 2021, how they don't give up. I'm talking about Wilhelm, and it's the same for you. Your higher self is guiding you and saying something all the time, and you listen, maybe, and then you listen again, and then you'll get maybe so afraid that you'll do something, and then things start to change. That's just the way the process works. So when I went out for a walk, and then a lot of times, I'm telling you, so many of you will probably be having this, waking up in the middle of the night not knowing why, and something's going on, or you're feeling like you've just lost all sense of who you are. That's a good thing. Because we have to let go of our consciousness, the old consciousness, and that's what I was given. So in 2021, when I went out for a walk, because I had to be distracted, you see, that happens when you're getting up in the middle of the night or you're doing something else, and then all of a sudden information comes to you. Yeah, life happens when you're attempting to do something else. And I'm out for a walk, and we gave you everything you needed to know in 2012. That's what I heard. And I said, that's ridiculous. And it frightened me. Just like the very first message that I received from Wilhelm in 1989. It startled me. Oh, you mean there's some other connection? There's some consciousness that we all have that we can connect to? Yeah. And then they said, well, yeah, we gave it to you. Let's show you where it is. I come into my home and I go to my computer and I open up a folder that I'd not seen. I don't know how it got there. They say, yeah, all of you have something you don't know how it got there, and that's what you're meant to develop. This was just my way. But let me show you the folder because I've talked about it, but this will help you today because every human will move through the same sorts of things. This is universal cosmic wisdom that I was given. And the difference was it's meant to be a self-actualization, self-empowerment so that people can live prosperous lives. So we can create a society that people really learn how to prosper in all ways, not just in certain ways, but in every single way. And this is what came through. Now, you won't be able to see all of this, and this is just for the purpose of the story because I just want you to understand that we have possibilities. I never want people to think that things are impossible no matter how they might show up in your life. This is how it showed up for me. When I heard that, I come into my house, I find this folder, didn't know why I hadn't seen it, how it got there. I thought maybe did an assistant do it? I don't know. But I can look at every single message and I can tell you what it means now. And if you've heard a Wilhelm session, they said that they've given me an encyclopedia of personal development, self-actualization, and it's true. And I can explain every single one of them. Praise. This is the thing that they say there's a difficulty because we learn it very early. You know, your parents gave you praise all the time, and so you keep depending on it, then you never become your empowered self. Then they gave us a tool to use called focused attention, meaning that we have consciousness that we use to direct in everything. But then we have to develop vision. meaning seeing beyond anything that existed the day before. And then you have to choose again because now you have a new awareness, and so you may not make the same choices. Then you learn after a certain time that you make yourself the priority because that's what you're meant to have. Then you find your personal value. And then you find a way of doing everything. And then you discover that you have to eliminate blame. Otherwise, you still become a victim in your life and never changes. And then you have to understand that you're using your physical body to propel your life. And so sometimes it's giving you signals and you don't understand. And then you have a difficulty with time because you've been using it in an incorrect way. And you think you're running out of time, but that's not it. You're just not doing the things that you knew you wanted to do. And there's nothing that you have to do. You just have believed that. And then you discover that everything that you've done, there's a benefit of it if you discover it. And then you understand that every situation you have is for you. Nothing was happening. And then you discover that everything is possible. And then you know that everything becomes better the next day. I could go on forever. And that's what I'm going to do because that's what I'm doing next year. And it's going to be so thrilling because now I can give anyone who wants to move to this wonderful place in their lives and discover who they are, they have the ability to do that now. And that's why I was supposed to tell you today that you came here to be loved. And that's what the world needs right now because love is the most powerful energy that you possess. And it changes everything. It causes you to heal. And eventually it causes our world to do the same thing. And have a wonderful Sunday because that's when I am doing this, no matter when you might see it. So I want you to have the energy of that. If it's your first time being here, please subscribe to the channel and decide to love yourself today. The world needs you. See you soon.